Regardless of any negative thoughts you may have about the final season, Game of Thrones is one of the greatest stories ever brought to the small screen. With a focus on greed, ego, backstabbing, murder, and vengeance, it's also an amazing vehicle to highlight a handful of lessons from Robert Greene's amazing book, The 48 Laws of Power. In this episode, the first of 3, I'm going to cover the first 16 lessons based on stories from Game of Thrones. Let's begin. Law 1. Never outshine the master. Greene's notes say, always make those above you feel comfortably superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite, inspiring fear and insecurity. Make your masters appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. Tyrion outsmarts those above him in a handful of scenes, playing against this rule, but the best example of following the rule comes from Davos Seaworth. As he's at the service of Stannis Baratheon, he's mostly careful not to overshine his king, except when he knows it must be done. He risks his life living within this rule. Law 2. Never put much trust in friends. Learn how to use your enemies. Be wary of friends. They will betray you more quickly, for they are easily aroused to envy. They also become spoiled and tyrannical. But hire a former enemy and he will be more loyal than a friend, because he has so much to prove. In fact, you may have more to fear from friends than enemies. If you have no enemies, find a way to make them. There's no better example of this than Littlefinger. He's someone who will likely come up again, but in his relationship with the Lannister family, he's continually acquiring power, but not overshadowing the Lannisters. That said, he's constantly working to create beneficial situations for himself. He also always appears friendly, even though he's quite dangerous. Law 3. Conceal your intentions. Keep people off balance and in the dark by never revealing the purpose behind your actions. If they have no clue what you're up to, they cannot prepare a defense. Guide them far enough down the wrong path, envelop them in enough smoke, and by the time they realize your intentions, it'll be too late. Many conceal their intentions within the Game of Thrones, but the best example is perhaps Varys. Also known as the Spider, he's the eunuch master of whispers.
Now, the last time I saw you
saw me with your own eyes.
Eyes, I own.
He was a skilled manipulator and commander of a network of informants across 2 continents. He used children, actually. When he's asked, who do you serve, he would always say, the realm. He conceals his intentions. Law 4. Always say less than necessary. When you're trying to impress people with words, the more you say, the more common you appear, and the less in control. Even if you are saying something banal, it will seem original if you make it vague, open-ended, and sphinx-like. Powerful people impress and intimidate by saying less than they need to. The more you say, the more likely you are to say something foolish or give away too much information. Again, there are many great examples, but let's focus on Missandei, who works with the Dragon Queen. She knows multiple languages, acts not so powerful, but works like a human translator in many situations. She helps during one translation scene as she's diplomatic about what the traitor is saying, and others she's simply restraint in nature.
That sounds liberating.
Law 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. Reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. Once you slip, however, you're vulnerable and you will be attacked by all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their reputations. Then stand aside and let the public opinion hang them. Lord Tywin Lannister is probably the main culprit here, influenced by his father, who is also known as a weak leader. In terms of Lannister, he and his children always say,
Lannister always pays his debts.
Law 6. Court attention at all cost. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd, then or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all cost. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. Some of these rules may contradict themselves, but they are all powerful. This may seem contradictory as well, but what it means is basically having a PR campaign, perhaps best seen within the Dragon Queen Daenerys, and how people see her as she grows with power, plus how she deals with suitors and traitors. Law 7. Get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit. Use the wisdom, knowledge, and legwork of other people to further your own cause. Not only will such assistance save you valuable time and energy, it will give you a godlike aura of efficiency and speed. In the end, your helpers will be forgotten and you will be remembered. Never to yourself what others can do for you. For this well-known trait, which angers anyone who sees it in co-workers, think of Robert Baratheon from the first seasons. The former king, he would often take full credit, especially from his former hand, Jon Arryn. And this storyline may be more in the book than the series, if you're not familiar with that name. Law 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When you force the other person to act, you are the one in control. It is always better to make your opponent come to you, abandoning his own plans in the process. Lure him with fabulous games, then attack. You hold all the cards. Melisandre, who gets Stannis Baratheon to come to her often, she uses his emotions to play on his needs for power. He always comes to her for power and finds her attractive. Law 9. Win through your actions, never through argument. Any momentary triumph you think gained through argument is really just a small victory. The resentment and ill will you stir up is stronger and lasts longer than any momentary change of opinion. It is much more powerful to get others to agree with you through your actions without saying a word. Jaime Lannister is known for being rash, a fighter more than a conversationalist. That's why he's so ironic when his hand is taken away and he's forced to use his mind over his battle skills. Law 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. You can die from someone else's misery. Emotional states are as infectious as disease. You may feel you are helping the drowning man, but you are only precipitating your own disaster. The unfortunate sometimes draw misfortune on themselves. They will also draw it on you. Associate with the happy and fortunate instead. We see this in a few ways during the rebellion and prior to the books, and especially at the end of the war where various leaders started to debate on how to choose sides. You want to pick a winner, not a loser. This example may be best with Cersei in the final seasons. Learn to keep people dependent on you. To maintain your independence, you must always be needed and wanted. The more you relied on, the more freedom you have. Make people depend on you for their happiness and prosperity, and you have nothing to fear. Never teach them enough so they can do without you. The best example here is Tywin Lannister, who knew how and when to share information. Law 12. Use selective honesty and generosity to disarm your victim. One sincere, honest move will cover up dozens of dishonest ones. Open-hearted gestures of honesty and generosity bring down the guard of even the most suspicious people. Once your selective honesty opens a hole in the armor, you can deceive and manipulate at will. A timely gift, or a Trojan horse, will serve the same purpose. Let's talk about one of the biggest characters in the show, but also seemingly the least powerful. Jon Snow, who didn't care much for showing power, but simply acted genuinely, revealed his truth countless times. But in the end, it meant doing something horrific, something many fans disagreed with, but which was perhaps inevitable.
I tried to make peace with Cersei.
You can forgive all of them. Make them see they made a mistake.
Law 13. When asking for help, appeal to people's self-interest, never to their mercy or gratitude. If you need to turn to an ally for help, do not bother to remind him of your past assistance or good deeds. He will find a way to ignore you. Instead, uncover something in your request or in your alliance with him that will benefit him and emphasize it out of all proportion. He will respond enthusiastically when he sees something to be gained for himself. Here, this political move, think of Tyrion and Bronn. Bronn steps up to fight for Tyrion because he knows the Lannister is rich and powerful. In addition, Bronn continues to climb the ladder of success later in the series when he helps the handless Jaime Lannister. Law 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Knowing about your rival is critical. Use spies to gather valuable information that will keep you a step ahead. Better still, play the spy yourself. In polite social encounters, learn to probe. Ask indirect questions to get people to reveal their weaknesses and intentions. There is no occasion that is not opportunity for artful spying. The most obvious example here is perhaps Tyna Merryweather, who moves between Cersei and Marjorie Tyrell as if she's friendly with both, when in fact she's often playing both sides. Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and seek revenge. Crush him not only in body, but spirit. Here we think of families battling for control, but specifically with Arya Stark. She's got her list of revenge, and she's going after every single person on it. She also kills the Night King, again controversial, which causes all of the Night Walkers to fall. Law 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Too much circulation makes the price go down. The more you are seen and heard, the more common you appear. If you are already established in a group, temporarily withdraw from it to make yourself more talked about, even more admired. You must learn when to leave. Create value through scarcity with yourself. In this law, think of the relationship between Daenerys Targaryen and her people, who miss her when she leaves the city, but also think of her right-hand man, Jorah Mormont. The relationship they have is up and down, but there is truly love between the two of them. She misses him when he's gone, and in the end, he literally dies a moment after he realizes she's safe in the final episodes. I'm sure there are countless other examples, so please feel free to reference your favorite scenes or characters in the comments. Stay tuned for our next 2 videos to see how this masterful series uses all 48 of these rules of power. And check the references below for more info, and also a link to Robert Greene's masterful book, The 48 Laws of Power.